Alrighty, folks. Well, um, no, I've got a great mic. I don't think it's my mic. I think it might be, I don't know, my keyboard or something. I'm gonna have to, I'm gonna have to look. I'm running on two screens, and I always thought it was like a focus issue, like if you focus on something on the wrong screen, it takes the focus off of
Okay.
Discord.
I have two screens, and I've never had an issue.
I will have you all know that my mic is less than 5 years old.
So it's younger than the bear.
Well, it's younger than me, but it's mentally about the same age.
Ha! I'll be the only one to laugh at that joke if you want.
Well, somebody did. Somebody's got to. It's a dirty job.
I laugh at your jokes.
All right, see, our docket says that our first thing to talk about tonight is channel emojis, which I'm going to skip right over because I think that's been put to bed already. Yes?
I think so.
Alrighty. And I'm going to go ahead and go to what Cassia has for the Mandalorian watch parties. The Mandalorian Season 2 has begun, which means that Cassia's Mandalorian watch parties have resumed with Season 2. She'll be having these on Fridays at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. Drop by and watch brand new episodes, talk about them, and have a good time. Anything you want to add to that, Cass, at all? She's typing. Okay, so Cass is saying she'd gladly do a rerun if you missed the first episode of Season 2. Just let her know. We'll get the popcorn ready. And she's mentioning that Season 2, Episode 1 is not an episode you want to miss. I have heard it was a good start, so... Alrighty. Now, there is something else on the agenda, but we'll get to that in a second. First, I want to open up the floor. Does anybody at all have any open meeting business they'd like to throw out there? Anybody have any questions, concerns, thoughts, complaints? Alrighty. Looks like we're doing pretty good in that department. We do have the results of our survey. Now, obviously, we're going to deep dive into some of the text answers where people type their feelings and thoughts on things. But the overall survey, like how people generally answered the demographic questions and things like that, we can give you a few of those here right now, or we can just make a nice blog post or something to that effect. Would people rather hear the results here right now, or would you rather just have a blog post you can read and peruse at will?
Right now would be cool, but it's fine either way. I'd read the blog if you did that.
We'll be doing the blog anyway. It's just, do you want to hear it as well?
Right? Oh yeah, I would want to hear it. Yeah.
All right. Elodel, do you still have the graphics that you showed me earlier? Saved me a lot of screenshotting time. If you would, I'm gonna lead you through what we should see first. Did you show everybody the results of the gender question?
Oh, that's
Can somebody explain them to those of us who aren't watching the text channel?
Oh, he's driving.
Oh, he's driving. Oh, okay. Well, I can.
Oh, boy. I'm driving. Well, I will be.
Everyone's
Houdini
driving.
be going to her in-laws. Once I find my keys.
Well, in that case, I'll just show you guys.
Leave Houdini out of it.
Okay, if you guys will give me just 1 sec. Apparently my browser is running out of memory or something.
That's fine. I was just about to check if your mic was still working.
I'll be home in like 4 minutes.
Well, while he's looking for that, and I'll drop this in text too for somebody's echoing.
Well, okay, yeah. I'm always on the lookout for ways that Kessa can corroboratively. I don't know, collaborate to make artwork with other members. We used to have a thing called Drawpile, and we found a thing called Magma Studio. And if I'm not mistaken, you can chat and you can work creatively together. It's got very professional tools, I think. I'm just going to hand this off to Kessa because she can tell you more.
Yeah, it worked well. Let me see. We had a drawing session a couple days ago when I was just trying this out. There it is. Me, AJ, and Cosine just decided to spend that morning drawing. So if you would like to, yes, if you'd like to be pinged when we do that, just ask a staff member to add the creative role to. Normally you could add it to yourself, but Fishsticks is a bit under the weather right now until the full version 18 comes out. So you don't need to download any software. It's just a website that you can works best with Chrome. It works with mouse in Firefox, but I have a pressure sensitive tablet, and that worked best on Chrome. So yeah, join us.
I missed that. What were you guys talking about? That new drawing program?
Just the drawing website that we use to collaborate.
I'll have to grab that link from you guys sometime.
Alrighty, I'm going to give us our first survey result, which is what is your gender? As you can see, most people were male. There were a few females, and there were also a few meat popsicles.
Did I disconnect again?
No, Neo, stop talking.
Oh,
Alrighty, I was just giving the first result. What is your gender? I'm proud to say we have 5 meat popsicles in the community. Can you
I
hear
think
me
we
now?
lost him again.
Yep.
Yes, there he's back.
Okay, yeah, I was just talking about the meat popsicles. Probably good you couldn't hear me.
I heard the meat popsicle. It's funny.
Our next result, we asked whether you were a recognized CCACC or an applicant. And as you can see, we had several recognized members and several CC members. So that's cool. Rather than show every single thing, we asked, is our custom bot fish sticks easy to use and helpful or confusing and difficult to use? And most people went with extremely easy to use. We asked on a scale of 1 to 5, how many people understand our leadership and staff roles, who's responsible for what, who to ask for information. And out of 5, most people answered 4. So most people sort of basically understand. They also said that our staff are generally friendly and engaging, fun, and they offer immediate answers to my questions. We had some negative responses on there that got absolutely no responses at all. So thanks for that. We asked if our staff were effective or not effective or somewhere in between, and it was like a scale of 1 to 5. Almost all the answers were 4. There were a few 3s and a few 5s as well. Now, one of the more interesting ones I'm going to show you,
You cut out.
assuming you can still hear me.
So he's going to
Now
show
we
us,
can.
not tell us.
Hello?
Neo. Hello. Nothing.
We could hear him, but oh.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you, Neil. At least I can.
I can't.
Oh,
So you guys have heard me talking about
there.
You've heard me talking, but haven't, even when I wasn't posting graphics, right?
I
You
don't
were-
know when you're posting
Stop.
graphics.
You paused, which I think was a natural pause to post a picture, and then you stopped talking on like legit stopped talking, and we were waiting for you to say something or post a picture.
Okay, I mentioned 2 or 3 results without posting the picture. Did you guys hear those results?
You were about to say something interesting based off of after people felt like they could talk to the staff about stuff or something like that.
Well, moving on. Generally, people thought the staff and leadership were pretty effective and pretty fun, and there were a couple places for negative responses, and we didn't get any. The next image is what people thought about what CC should do more of. And as you can see, they want more game events, more movie nights, Bible studies, that kind of thing. More. I guess the best way to translate this would be more events where there's several people together all doing one thing, like we're doing now. And then, of course, content ministry and everything else falls sort of behind that. But more ways that I can participate is a very general way of saying let's have more things to do.
Now I think Neo might have stopped talking.
I did stop.
Neil, stop talking.
What are you trying to say?
Nothing.
Hey, it's moments like this I wish somebody else would take the meeting minutes.
Oh.
My
What kind of minutes are you trying to take here? Because I would have just said something along the lines of reviewed survey.
No, I had all of the people who were in this channel. I had all of the prayer requests, and my browser just took a header, like froze.
I'll get an attendance screenshot, Neil.
Hey people, if you want something to do, you can volunteer to show up at every meeting and take the meeting notes. We won't stop
At
you.
any rate,
What kind of events do people want to see more of? I mean, I know the results.
Sounds like another
just said
survey.
more of, but is there certain things that the community wants to see over others?
I mean, according to this is ways they can participate and more events are the 2 highest.
Okay.
But we didn't get real specific.
I'm hearing ways to feel included. Would that be accurate?
I've been entertaining the idea of having an event like earlier in the evening. I don't know what day of the week, but like the Among Us event and like movie night, it's late for me, and I know I go to bed like stupid early for an adult. But people on the East Coast might want something a little bit earlier too, or to do something like before dinner. The rest of the country, would people be interested in something at like 7 Central?
On like Fridays?
I haven't picked a day.
Oh, okay.
Can I say something?
Sure.
So tomorrow, I think it's tomorrow, the clocks are switching, and as some of you might know, I live in Arizona, so ours don't. And my internet shuts off at 8:10 for so that me and my brother don't sit on video games all night.
Sure.
Which means a lot of the Among Us, I go to every single Among Us night, or at least try to. And that means Among Us, we would only be able to play for 1 hour because they usually start at 6, which is like 2-3 games. Or if they start at 7, we can't play at all.
You're talking 7 Mountain Time?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Central Time would have been 8 o'clock and 9 o'clock.
Okay.
If that makes sense. I kind of confused
does.
everyone.
Yeah.
Arizona swings back and forth between Pacific time and Mountain time because they
Well,
don't do daylight savings.
Yeah.
So it's currently on Pacific Time?
Yes, we're currently on Pacific. 3
Go
hours
back to Mountain.
behind Eastern, and then we go back to Mountain, which is 2 hours behind Eastern,
Okay.
or 1 hour behind Central. And I think a lot of the people in the Among Us chat that play Among Us are on Central, and that's why they start at that time. But I don't know. That's probably not a CC problem. That's probably a me problem.
That's
I
something you
might
can bring
just
up.
have to talk to my parents about it.
Well,
I
you
know
do
my
raise a good
brother's
point.
about it.
You do raise a good point, which is that a lot of the events are geared toward including everyone, which means that they happen later to try to rope in the West Coast people. But
Yeah.
it can be difficult for people on the East Coast to stay up late for some of those events. So it might be worth having some earlier events for people further east.
Or moving times forward half an hour at least. I think that at least helps a little bit.
Yeah, I know
if
I've been
you need-
feeling... Go ahead.
No, you. I don't really have my point. I was just gonna.
I know, and I realize a lot of it has been my job, and I get up at the stinking crack of dawn. But since I got the job, I've noticed I haven't been as participatory. That's the word I'm looking. As I used to be, and I think it's because a lot of the events are late at night. So that's kind of why I want to throw out, not eliminating them, of course, but maybe doing a couple earlier in the evening for people on the East Coast and or people who just can't be up that late, or who want to go to bed earlier or want to get it in before dinner or whatnot. I just don't know what events people would be interested in that early.
I know I'm not an event coordinator, so I wouldn't. I don't want to throw anything more on each of the event coordinators because I understand, everyone has life. But I was just thinking about in the case of wanting more events, because I am one of those people who love that. Is it possible that we could have like 2 iterations of events? Have one iteration for the East Coast and Central, and then, or just East Coast, and then have another iteration for the West Coast and Central, just because of the time difference? If not, I completely understand.
I like that idea. It would just be a matter of having somebody to do it,
Yeah, so I understand that's a ton of extra work that would be going on top of what's already happening.
I'm going to speak to that directly as a Pacific time zone person. I think the bigger problem would be attendance, actually, having 2 separate groups.
Or what?
Because we have so many Central and East time people, the Pacific people will probably just not have a game at all or anything to happen
Sure.
unless it's like specifically like Among Us or free to play night. Those specifically, if Eastern and Central has something earlier, then Pacific may show up and there may be no slots because there's way more East Coast and Centrals, I believe, in our community than there are Pacifics and Mountains.
Yeah, I don't know of any mountain people. I know of some Pacific, like I know Amroth is Pacific because he lives in Canada. But that's the only Pacific person I know in the server. There's 100% more, but I don't know. Can someone roll check on how many people are in Among Us? You can do that, right?
No, Fish Sticks is down.
Oh, right.
Oh, yeah.
I think there's like 30 or so people in the Among Us chat. Here, I'll just count like old times. I'll just count.
I
Well,
definitely
maybe
agree.
things like
Oh, sorry.
Among Us, it wouldn't work with, but like the Mandalorian event, I was not attending those during season 1 because they were so late for me. But I would definitely be willing to host a second iteration of that if there would be people who would want to do that or something similar like that. I would just at that point then worry that people would only show up to one and not the other. Kind of what I think it was AJ who was talking. I can't understand voices right now.
I definitely agree with Amroth on this one. I was thinking just providing another opportunity should someone not be able to attend what's already set up, I think.
Thanks for letting me know who's talking. I can't understand who's talking. I just can hear that somebody's talking. These headphones are not that great.
It sounds like the Central and East Coast folks are wishing that they could have earlier events because at least some people don't want to stay up late for events. And the two possible solutions are one, move up events earlier, which may prove problematic for Pacific Coast people to attend, or split, have an earlier event and a later event, which will drop the attendance of both, presumably. But I think the better question is, will it improve like net attendance? Because I mean, if you're roping in more people, that would seem to be ideal. But if the combined attendance was better than the later attendance alone, that would seem to me to be a win. But
I wonder if we could try it with something simple like The Mandalorian. And I'm just kind of focused on that because I really want to watch the next episode already. Try it for a couple of days, like with Among Us, that's being played almost daily, I think. Try it out, see what it does. And if it doesn't work, well, then it doesn't work. Or, I am certainly willing to do a different show, or I could try to find a different game that people can play. That way we're not taking away from the things that are already existing, but offering something else in addition. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
How about something that I think more people attend? I know movie night, we can still do it, but I'd like to put out at least a second option. I think it might not be a bad idea to this week start Among Us 2 hours early.
Yay!
I'm not saying finish, I'm saying start, as in maybe people join in and other people will leave and we can keep it going for multiple hours rather than people playing for an hour starting at 9 o'clock Eastern and then everybody's off. Just because I know most people are liking to play Among Us a little bit earlier, I think.
It also doesn't help that a lot of the group does not feel that playing with a group of 5 or 6 people is not acceptable, and that also doesn't help because we'll have 5 or 6 people and then also leave and they'll be like, nah, I don't want to play, there's only 5 or 6 of us. So that also
Kirby.
doesn't help the fact of the matter either.
Kirby.
Mm.
Among Us with, I don't know if anyone else will get this, but Among Us with 2 imposters on 7 people is absolute horror.
Yes,
And 8 people. 9 and 10 with 2 imposters is good, and 1 imposter is 6.
yes,
Those-
but still
those are
we
the
can
good
still play with 5 and
numbers.
6 people with like 1 imposter, and it's just a little bit harder for the imposter, but it still would give some enjoyment because I played before with 1 imposter with 5 or 6, and it still was an enjoyable time for me.
Yeah, well, 5 or 6 with 1 imposter is good, but like 7 with 2 imposters is horrible.
Alrighty, no offense, guys, but you guys can talk Among Us in the Among Us channel.
Yeah.
Alrighty, so essentially, I can't remember what I was going to say now. You guys could do what all of us Warzone people do, which is we're so addicted that we tend to play early in the day and then again later in the day or at night because we're so addicted. We have to get it fixed like every 6 or so
I mean, we
hours.
can go talk about it in the games channel because it's not Warzone right now. La 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 la. Just kidding. I think the main thing though is that people want to be able to show up at events and it not be so late for them or too early for them.
Correct.
Which cannot appease everyone at the end of the day.
Right. No one
I
event
think
is going
this
to make
week-
everybody happy, which is
Exactly.
perhaps why I think probably the solution is anybody who wants to host an earlier event. I don't feel like anybody's going to stop them. So if you want to be the change you want to see, then host an
Well
earlier
said.
event.
Well said.
Exceptional.
My suggestion though would be rather than starting the event early and then if people still show up at the arranged time, go ahead and join. Like I'm saying game night here. Like if people want to start game night early, start it early. People will show up still at the scheduled time. If there's enough people to start early, then start early. Is kind of what I guess I'm saying.
I'm flattered. I'm at your disposal.
Well, speaking of which, anybody have anything else to say about the, scheduling and events and all that kind of stuff?
Well,
I think Neckbreaker's answer to this was probably the best in the sense that if you want to be the one who has an earlier event, be the change you want to see, as he said, and schedule an early event. Don't worry about whether or not it's too early for a certain group of people. If they really want to be there, they'll find a way. If your event grows, which could surprise you or might not be so surprising, hey, cool. We try not to fracture things too much because then we'll have like the early people and we'll have the early shift and the late shift. We don't want to do that to our membership if we don't have to. Which is why we try to schedule things like our meetings tonight. We're on a Saturday on the Pacific Coast is like late in the afternoon, but it's night for everybody on the East Coast, so it's kind of like perfect. And we've moved meetings around so much over the years that we refuse to move them anymore. We've changed the day, we changed the time. It's always eventually returned to this date and time. So you guys can hear me, right?
Yes, loud and clear.
Not a word after all that long speech. Nah, I'm kidding. Yes, we heard you.
They didn't hear a thing. I'll have to say it again in the voice of Bane.
No need for that.
All right, so I do other impersonations, by the way.
I know.
Another good point. So at this time, I kind of want to just throw out a shameless plug because we're trying to sort of reinvent our content community and sort of teach people stuff they don't know and that kind of thing. If you are any kind of content creator, if you make videos or songs or a writer, anything like that, there is a way for you to submit blog posts or articles once they're approved to our CC website. There's also a way for you to upload videos, audio, images, stuff like that. So if you need to do any of those things and you want any of your stuff to be included on the website, please let us know. We'll be happy to show you how and what the process is. We also have on the website a thing called the link library. So if you have bookmarks of like these super duper awesome websites you'd like everybody to know about, you can suggest links to be added to the link library, and you'll even be given credit for suggesting the link. But anyway, yeah, Doctor, are you able?
Yes, I can finally talk. Okay, so as someone that kind of established the entire stigma that Among Us is at 8 Central, and there may be deviations on any given night, but generally it is on that time. I want to explain my reasoning as to why that was the case. That was what I came to understand was any later is a lot harder for anyone on the East Coast to make it to. But if we make it any earlier or depending on the night, we've had to be scheduling around the current events as is. It's with how many events we already have going and the idea that we need to be making sure that we aren't conflicting events, it is very hard to schedule anything earlier than about 8 Central at the moment. So,
Doc.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with the 8 Central right now. Just when the time switches, then it's really hard.
I understand. I'm just saying that if we're going to be scheduling things earlier, especially something like Among Us, we need to keep that in mind, that we're not going to be causing any potential conflicts, or we need to just be okay with that because the groups may not interact at all or something like that. So that's just something as someone that has more recently been trying to deal with the current schedule, and my perspective on that.
I had that suggestion. We could all just rebel and refuse to accept daylight savings time.
I like that idea.
I'm not sure your cell phone would like the idea.
Or Arizona can just step up and go with the crowd. Because it's very annoying what they're doing. It's like someone in Arizona is like, hey, wouldn't it be just awesome to not switch our clocks? And then they're like, yeah, that would be a great idea. And then that's how the story came on.
Okay, so we could talk all day about scheduling, but again, I think it kind of falls back to what Nick Ricker said was, if you personally want to schedule something, do not worry about who might show up or what they might think. If you get your message out there, you might be surprised by who shows up or who makes a special effort. So events as they are right now, let somebody know and they will see if they can accommodate something, at least on a, like a sliding basis. But again, we could talk about this in circles. So at this point, does anybody have any other open meeting business that's really like on their mind right now? Okay, well, just as an addition to what was being talked about before, I was talking about how you could put content on the website, all that stuff. We've been growing our new content team. The official name for the content team so far is the Christian Crew Content Creators, or C4 for short. We thought that was kind of poetic, considering that CC started with Counter-Strike and all that stuff. Anyway, C4 is going to be teaching each other stuff and trying to help people become proficient with different programs they're not used to, that kind of thing. And we're going to be showing people a lot of free software that you may not know exists, and some that's actually really good considering it's free. So if you're not already involved, you might want to get involved, because it's going to be interesting. And I assume you guys can hear me.
So far, so good.
Okay. I gotta check all the time now. All right, so as the reason that I brought up the whole C4 thing, by the way, is we're trying to use that group as a way to maybe foster some new things in our community. So some more content for people to enjoy, that sort of thing. But please keep in mind, folks, that we're a volunteer-driven community, and that people do occasionally get burned out on their things that they do. So, for example, if you want to help in any way, if there's anything you're good at, just let us know. You never know how you could be useful. Like Eladold, turns out, is basically a whiz at spreadsheets and stuff. And with a large community of a lot of people doing a lot of different things in a lot of different directions, spreadsheets are very, very useful. So just as an example, if you think that you could donate even 5 minutes of your time once or twice a month to do like one little job, let us know what you're good at. Maybe we can find something that you can do that will make things run smoother and better around here. As Kessa said, team burnout wants you. I know, Doctor, but it's a dream. It would probably run smoother if we would just pay you and Houdini.
You can always pay me to do something. I'm kidding. No, don't do that. Unless you want to.
I wouldn't call dinos outdated. They are fossil fuel.
Why would you want to use me for fuel?
Well, dino, I mean, it's questionable. You're a dino, okay? But when you use the word fossil around CC, people think of me and not you.
Oh, I didn't know that.
You and Global.
Alrighty, so at this time, I'm going to give another call for anybody have any open meeting business you could have a minor little question, you can have a concern that you've thought of, anything at all. It doesn't matter how minor. Bring it up.
When are you gonna get your mic fixed?
I'll answer that question when you fill out a form in triplicate and send me $700.
Got it.
Still want my cut.
Is it too early to start speaking about Christmas things?
No.
Technically, no.
I was just thinking about the sing along. I've enjoyed those in the past at TS. So.
Well, actually, bringing such a thing up right now is actually a good idea because when we don't talk about it until like the second week of Christmas, or excuse me, second week of December, it doesn't happen. When we schedule it ahead of time, it does happen. What H2 is referring to is, for those of you that haven't been around for several years, we used to have at least 3 nights in December that were event nights, and the third one was always like caroling, and there were like prizes, and we would make little videos and stuff of the caroling. So, I mean, if we wanted to do something like that, what we would do, if you're thinking of being an event person, what we would do is like we'd have 3 nights, and say the first night would be like a free-to-play game. The second night might be another free-to-play game, and the third night would be almost completely caroling. And it's usually wrapped up by singing the 12 Days of Christmas, where everybody gets assigned to a day, and they act really silly throughout the song. We do have a YouTube playlist of these, if you'd like to see some of these Christmas videos. I will tell you that if you've never been involved, hearing Crosser sing as a character he's created called Dolores is worth the price of admission. Oh yeah, and then Ginger's husband Revolvus, when he would do the 5 golden rings, it was simply angelic. Yeah, so I actually spoke to Crosser a couple of days ago, and he was mentioning, he might bring Dolores out of retirement for Christmas. So if we had a Christmas event this year, we could probably get that to happen. For those of you that don't know, Dolores is a woman that sounds like she's from New York, and sounds like she's been smoking for about 57 years. And she sings Christmas carols with a very scratchy voice. Very similar to that, except better. So, are people saying that they would like to schedule something for Christmas this year? Maybe a multi-night event?
Crosser was telling me and Bacon that we should do the Christmas party this year.
I've got a suggestion for it. That our very first event, we have Neckbreaker read straight from the Bible the actual Christmas story in a somewhat dramatic way.
I have
And
a
it
good
came to
idea.
pass in those days, etc.
Exactly.
Doing like an advent calendar for Christmas. Doing a cool little thing that we would normally do each day.
By the way, Doctor, you keep mentioning Thanksgiving. I don't know where, but somebody was saying the other day that where they live, family gatherings are limited to 6 people, but funerals are limited to like 300 people. And so they made the announcement that they were holding a funeral for their pet turkey on November 26th.
That's funny.
That's actually a great idea, Nick Ricker. You let us know if you want to do something like that. Maybe on one of the CS list nights or something. Okay, all in favor of renaming the discussion den to dumpster fire? Raise your hand.
No,
Yep.
it was only that a couple nights ago. It's normally a little more sane. I suspect Neo's mic is not working. Called it.
You suspect correctly. So, one last call. Anybody have any open meeting business they'd like to include tonight?
Christmas avatars, wasn't that a thing in former years?
Yes, that was my thing. I think.
Can we agree to hold off on those until Thanksgiving?
Yes, but we can prep them early.
Hey. Kirby and I are done Thanksgiving. We'll be doing Christmas avatars today. Well, tomorrow. Because I don't have one ready.
I'm burned out of all holiday stuff, Mark. I'm sorry.
I need to know that it is a CC tradition and rule now. I'll make it a rule if you want that you have to remove your Christmas avatar by July 4th.
By July 4th?
You have to remove your Christmas avatar by July 4th or face the consequences.
That's very lenient.
Get him out of here.
You can put
Alrighty,
back up on July 5th, right?
Well, no, that would be like wearing white before Labor Day. It's a Southern thing.
Yes. So, other than that, anybody else got anything up?
I did want to ask about introducing another category of games to the channel. I've noticed that we don't have a lot of activity when it comes to like racing games. I play a couple on my own, but I just also wanted to see if anyone else was either interested in starting playing racing games or already did. But I know after the Christmas conversation, it's kind of, out there. But
I think this is getting off the rails. So we better.
Okay, cool.
wrap up.
Actual question. So
Yeah, Eli, you want to stuff it?
I was going to stop the meeting, but then I got fascinated by Iladol's horrible attempt at trolling.
Yes. People, racing games. Does anybody here play racing games, or is that a thing that people are interested in? Also, we can probably find a free-to-play racing game. I know a couple. Cough, cough. My dad knows them.
I'm looking at my shortcut to Grid 2, that racing game we all played at one point.
I definitely think there's a room for it because I like a good racing game, but everybody would have to have it, I guess.
Currently, because of Fishsticks being down, a new role would not be a good idea to be created right now until Fishsticks is done being fixed.
Yeah.
But I would think it's a terrible idea to at least start like a vroom vroom game role for racing games.
Maybe somebody could also do a little research and find out if there's multiplayer free-to-play racing games out there right now.
Oh, there are.
Yeah, there's a couple good ones that we could do, or that we've done in the past.
Burnout series on Steam, I don't know if it's free, but I think it's pretty cheap. Is a really good series that I recommend.
Also, like
Forza, I know I know that is one that was mentioned, but I know not everyone can afford the higher end games, so
There's also Sonic All Stars. Can anybody hear me?
barely.
Not when you say Sonic All Stars.
Shots fired. What? I know that there's definitely some free racing games that are not terrible somewhere on Steam, and I bet we have probably played one or two of them at a Christmas party event thing. So
Yep.
it's not going to be too hard to find it. And I'm not sure how racing adjacent you want, but technically Rocket League is going free to play, so we could totally do that as well.
Oh, it is going free to play.
Yes.
It's free
Moderate.
to play already.
Yeah, it already is.
Is it?
Yeah,
Is it
it's
still
free
like
to
that
play on
match
Epic,
setup,
and
or
if
do they
you
also have a racing side?
I was more
There's,
racing adjacent because it uses cars. It's still car soccer.
Moderate.
Yeah, I was thinking more along the lines of like where,
Yeah.
You're racing on a track and stuff, the classics. But
We would have a game or two that we played back in the day, though. That was free to play that we could probably find, at least for a starter, to get people interested.
yeah, and I'd be willing to
It's on
help
Steam.
with the setup for that.
Alrighty, if no one else has anything to bring up tonight, I will go ahead and call this meeting adjourned. Leaders, do we have any reason to go into close tonight?